Hey guys, Decav13 here, and welcome back to Fate Grand Order. Now, this is probably something I should have started a while ago, but hey, we're finally going to start Lost Belt number 2, Gotha Damarang. Mostly because, you know, Only Land's coming up soon, and we have to have cleared Gotha Damarang for that. I haven't started it yet, and it starts in maybe sometime next week. So I figure, you know, I should probably get a jump on that. And I know I'm gonna have trouble with maybe a couple of the fights in Gotha Damarang, so let's see what happens. Because I know there are a couple of Lancer enemies I'm gonna have trouble with. And, you know, I've been playing a lot of Devil May Cry lately, so I figure, hey, might as well take a little break from that for a little bit. I mean, I'm still gonna have those going up daily, of course, but you know. Take a break from a heavy action game with a heavy reading game. Alright. I repeat, I am a mage from proper human history. Please come find me at the following coordinates. This is Baldanders, the Wandering Sea. Wandering Sea? Wandering Sea? The Wandering Sea? That's one of the three great organizations of the Magecraft world. There's the Clock Tower in London, the Atlas Institute in Egypt, and the oldest of them all, the Wandering Sea. It was located on an island from the Age of the Gods, hidden in the Northern Oceans. Does this mean it still exists? That'd be a great help if it does. Atmospheric analysis complete. Nitrogen, oxygen, argon, and carbon dioxide levels all green. The amount in the atmosphere is almost identical to levels in the 21st century. I'm not picking up any harmful trace substances either. So we still have breathable air, even in this creepy, bleached world. Well, that means we can park the Shadow Border and go have a look for ourselves. What do you think, John? Doesn't that sound intriguing, stepping out into a world of sheer nothing in every direction? Of course it does. First we'll go out and get some fresh air. Then we'll look for food. You know, you still haven't told me what the Wandering Sea actually is. Cryptic silence. Empty smile. Thanks, Gordov. You don't know either, do you? Of course I do, you dolt! Gordov Music is not a man to pretend to know something he doesn't. The Mages Association isn't a monolith, I'll have you know. Just because I used to work at the Clock Tower doesn't mean I've ever been to this supposedly living Wandering Sea in the North Sea. Oh, so you've only heard rumors. I thought you were from some big important family, old man. Don't you call me that, Double Chin! If I must spell it out for you, then here it is. The Wandering Sea of Baldanders is the first enigma I've ever discovered in the world of Magecraft, and it will be the last to be puzzled out. It's an island so mysterious and full of mystics that even such a gifted mage of an incredibly prestigious bloodline as myself may not even set foot on it. It's true. That all fits with what's in Chaldea's database. It says that though the Mages Association has been around since the start of the AD era, it also split into 3 branches shortly after its inception. The mages who settled in London evolved with the times and focused on developing magecraft over the course of history. That faction went on to become the Clock Tower, the largest and most powerful magecraft organization in the world. Its members include the Atmosphere family, the founders of Chaldea, and Mr. Gordov here. Quite so. Here in the 21st century, the Mages Association and the Clock Tower are all but synonymous. The next major faction is the Atlas Institute in Egypt. They're dedicated to perfecting alchemy. We actually infiltrated their headquarters once during the Sixth Singularity. It was a huge research complex, almost like a giant crypt built deep underground, and as easy as it was to get in, it was hard to get out. The Atlas Institute's ironclad rule is that the technology created there must never leave. But Chaldea's first director was granted an exemption, thanks to the Atlas contract. The technology he was able to take from the Atlas Institute enabled him to complete Chaldeus. It was also the Atlas Institute that presented him with the Void Reality Observation Device Paper Moon, one of the finest mystic codes ever made. Indeed. They seldom poke their noses out of their little hole in the ground, but I am
told they do converse with the lords, albeit as little as possible. They may be a heartless bunch who only care about weapons and technology, but they can be rather useful if you play your cards right.
And finally, the last faction is the Wandering Sea, the Baldanders, said to be somewhere in the North Sea. However, the most I could find out about them was a brief overview, even in Chaldea's extensive files. It is said that their cardinal rule is to only recognize magecraft from the Age of Gods, and to refuse to accept any advancements or alterations urged by civilization. In essence, their ideology is the exact opposite of the Clock Towers. Indeed, refusing to accept progress in magecraft means refusing to accept consumer civilization. The Wandering Sea's philosophy of magecraft is fundamentally incompatible with modern human society. That is why they keep their gates firmly shut, and why they seldom add to their number.
In other words, they're a bunch of old fuddy-duddies obsessed with magecraft so ancient it has to be measured with carbon dating. That said, they do open their gates just once every year to try and recruit promising new talent. But even among mages of the Clock Tower, the number who actually make it to the Wandering Sea can be counted on one hand. Do you see my point? I'm saying the Wandering Sea is every bit as secretive as the Atlas Institute, just in a different way. No one from the outside has ever been able to get the full story. The reason being,
as the name suggests, the Wandering Sea is always on the move. Most who know of it believe it to be a floating island somewhere in the North Sea, but it is in fact the very opposite. The Wandering Sea's headquarters were built before the AD era began. Why is it that when I always fucking read, I have to yawn? The Wandering Sea's headquarters were built before the AD era began, and they never move at all. It is instead the sea in which they are located that moves around, a world unto itself in many ways. That is almost certainly why its location still remains a secret even in the 21st century. Land that moves around while placing mystic textures on itself. I see. That would make it its own independent singularity. It would also explain how it was able to escape whatever turned the Earth's surface into an endless white desert.
All this time they've been turning their noses up at us, but the moment things go south, they don't have any issue sending us a distress signal. Some successors to true mystics they turned out to be. They should try taking a page from our book. We're the ones who made it through Russia by the skin of our teeth, and with no outside help. We're the ones who are currently flailing about with no plan.
At least you understand that the situation is still pretty dire, I guess. Given the present circumstances, it looks like the people of the Wandering Sea have decided to bend their rules in order to offer us a lifeboat.
At any rate, Administrative Advisor Holmes, I have a question for you. I would like to be as certain as possible. What do you make of this? Can we trust that their distress signal is genuine?
I'm afraid I can't speak to that. What do you think, Da Vinci? Could go either way from the look of it. This transmission isn't part of the Clock Tower standards, but its wavelength is pretty close to the waveforms the Atlas Institute uses. Since we don't have any data about the Wandering Sea ourselves, I can't really give you a definitive answer. Still, I can verify that there's definitely something to be found at these coordinates. Whatever their story is, if there's a Magecraft workshop there, I'd really like to at least check it out. I know we managed to stretch things with the materials we got in Russia, but there are still some limits to what the Shadow Border can do. What I really want to do is retune the whole frame from scratch, but I doubt we'll be finding much in the way of materials considering the entire world seems to be an empty wasteland. These coordinates from the Wandering Sea would put it in the seas west of Norway. We could go through the Scandinavian peninsula, or turn north at Germany and cut across Denmark. We just left Moscow heading west, so it would take us a few days to reach them regardless of our route. Assuming that the border can convert the mana in the atmosphere into electricity, that just leaves the question of food. Can't we just you know, pop over there? No zero sales. As technical advisor, I expressly forbid it. Even if we are going to run into another one of those storm walls along the way, we need to stick to the surface as much as possible.
Oh, God. But why? Did you just say there are more of those storm walls? Explain yourself, technical advisor. If there's another storm wall in our path, doesn't that mean running straight into another lost belt?
We don't have any other choice, Gordoff. None of the two big problems we're facing. First, there's the small matter of the Wandering Sea living up to its name. These coordinates they sent us are all over the place. Literally, in fact. They're in a constant state of flux. Nothing definite or precise. With coordinates like these, it would be very risky to try zero sailing there with the paper moon. So until and unless we go to the Wandering Sea directly and forge some kind of connection to it, a long-distance zero sail is out of the question. Second, and this is the real problem, we don't have the energy. Yes, Holmes oh so helpfully suggested converting mana into electricity as if it were a simple matter, but that can only get us so far. The conversion rate isn't efficient enough, so we'd end up spending more power than we can produce, which would make a long zero sail trip fatal. After all, no more power means no more working life support systems. And I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to be out in this bleached white world all by myself.
Good point. Logic walls we have to put up in void space do use a lot of power. At our current energy levels, I don't think the border could last 2 hours there. And like Da Vinci said, we don't even have the exact coordinates we need. So what? Are you saying we need to enter another lost belt if we're going to reach this possible hope for the salvation? Where is this new lost belt anyway?
If we use a typical world map, then the entire Scandinavian peninsula is covered by one of these storm walls. Another half a day or so of driving, and you should all get to see the closest thing to the edge of the world for yourselves. I take that to mean this white, featureless ground will continue until we exit Russian territory then. Until we exit Russian territory then. At any rate, we have two possible routes to the Wandering Sea's designated coordinates. One that takes us across the Scandinavian peninsula, and one that brings us out to sea via Poland and Germany. Da Vinci, in your estimation, which of these gives us our best chance? Should we go by land or by sea? I think making a sea voyage would be a lot to ask of the border. We could perhaps go through the Strait of Dover, but to be honest, I'd rather we keep our distance from the British Isles since we have no idea about the state of the oceans just now. So what I'm saying is, I think the overland route is the best choice right now.
Good grief. No sooner are we done with one lost belt than we're off to a second. Your thoughts, Mr. John? Honestly, that's a scary thought. Indeed. I heartily concur. But I promise you'll have our fullest support. To be afraid in a situation such as this is the mark of sanity. Let us just leave it at that. So you're set on having us cross the Scandinavian peninsula then, aren't you, Da Vinci? Alright, we've come this far after leaving Moscow, so at the border's current speed, we should reach the peninsula in about 2 days. Very well then. Use that time to make sure we're fully prepared. Minier! If we run into anything that we can use to shore up our defenses along the way, take that opportunity to stop the border and ensure that everything is in good working order. Da Vinci, you look after the little demi-servant girl. Can't have her falling down on the job. Holmes, come with me. We're going to the solitary confinement chamber.
Solitary confinement? And Mr. Gordoff, does that mean...
Of course. I'm going there to interrogate Kadok. He should be waking up any time now. It's time for me to put my brilliant questioning skills to use. When I'm through with him, he'll have told us what the cryptids are, what Wodheim is planning. Everything. Mark my words. I'm coming too. Don't you look at me like that. You need the right people for the right job. I admit I may not be the best fit for interrogation, but you? Even less so. Don't you worry. Kadok may be something of a twisty little brat, but he's still a growing boy. Merely tempt him with food and he'll be putty in my hands. Trust me, one whiff of my creamy carbonara will turn his complexion from sour milk to sunflowers in an instant.
Worry not, Mr. John. I'll see to it that the interrogation doesn't devolve into violence. In fact, I have my own questions I wish to ask him. I have a fairly good idea of the crypt's goal now, and I also believe I know the extent of Kadok Zem Lupus's personal knowledge. However, there are still two important things I know little about: the Tree of Emptiness, and that Sirius Light command spell of his. Granted, the latter is something Kadok merely mentioned once. It may not be that important.
Fantastic. An emergency alert? What's this all about? I thought there weren't supposed to be any more Oprichniki.
We're not out of the Russian woods yet. Something's approaching us at a high speed. It's closing in on our port side at over 90 kilometers per hour. Come on, Minier, floor it before he catches up to us.
I can't, we're just about to go uphill. The border can't go any faster.
Oh crap, I'm picking up a heat signature too. It's
an RPG. Impact in 3, 2.
I felt that! Please tell me it wasn't the direct hit, Da Vinci! Damage report. Is the engine intact? I'm going to have to bail in the middle of this race.
I'm sure the damage is negligible, and our armor is still perfectly intact. We shouldn't need to do more than wipe off the scorch mark. The Shadow Border's armor is a composite of cutting-edge technology and magecraft theory. Normal weapons can't even scratch it.
That's not what I'm seeing, Holmes. That blast took out one of our armor plates. Another hit like that will be in deep shit.
Huh? Really?
Some great detective you are!
Then that means... I remember now! This is the same sort of explosion I felt way back... 2 weeks ago, when I was just a hapless, albeit handsome man, being shot at with an anti-material rifle. This can only mean that Koyunskaya is back to finish the job. It might really be curtains this time.
Foo!
Spare us the trip down memory lane, old man. Come on, Holmes, do something.
Right, my apologies. I'm not used to eating crow. Evacuate all staff from the portside hallway to the engine room immediately. Miss Curelight and I will go and deal with this attack. On that note, Miss Curelight, I would like you to put up a magical energy barrier in the internal hallway, so as to fend off a possible second round. I trust you are all right with that, John.
I am. Go for it, Mash.
Don't worry, Senpai. I won't let them put one more scratch on the border.
The hostile entity should reach the border in 50 meters. Putting up visual now.
God, they must think they're hot stuff. Their vehicle must have impressive suspension if they're heading straight at us, though. I didn't think Russia had any race cars like that around. Alright, where are you, you little leftover Oprichniki? Let's see what you look like. What the actual hell?
That's not a vehicle. It's a person. Someone is approaching on foot. Wait, that's Silhouette.
Ah, great, it's Rasputin.
Clergy vestments and a lost belt servant reading. It's that priest. The one who calls himself Metropolitan Macarius. I woke up when I thought I heard a voice calling me. It was a cold, almost brittle kind of voice. Where am I? Guess this means I'm still alive. There's a dull ache in the back of my head where I got pistol whipped. He sure wasn't playing around. Goddamn cowboy. Shouldn't outlaws be cool and laid back and all that? It's shaking. Am I in a vehicle? This must be the Shadow Border. I try to assess the circumstances as best as I can in this dimly lit place. Looks like they took me prisoner. They bound my hands, but now I can move around freely. The anti-magecraft cuffs they must have used on me are lying in pieces on the floor. Did I break them unconsciously while I was out? No, I couldn't have. I know I'm not capable of that. Why are the cuffs so damn cold? Something freeze them enough to turn them brittle? Maybe it's her farewell gift to me. Ugh, the thought even entered my mind makes me sick. I don't have time to get all sentimental. Now that I've failed, I don't have the right. Of course, that doesn't mean I'm going to waste this opportunity. If I'm going to make a getaway. Is someone attacking the Shadow Border from the outside? But the only ones who would do that are the Cryptors. Does that mean someone's here to rescue me? No, there's no chance of that. They're here to shut me up. There's no other reason anyone would waste their time on a loser like me. Alright, I can't just sit around and wait for them to kill me. First off, I gotta find a way to get out of here. After that, who knows? Escaping's all I can hope for now. Once that's done, I'll just have to see where the winds take me.
Damn it, there goes another one! What's the situation?
Mash raised your shield just in time. That one barely did anything. Way to go, Mash.
Fool!
Hostile servant is still in pursuit on the border's port side. Wait, is he about to fire again? How many rounds did he even bring with him?
I just noticed the NFF services marking on that thing. Must be one of Koyanskaya's weapons. No wonder it was able to damage the Magecraft armor. That said, looks like that priest is all sermon and no rod. Like pearls before swine, so too gold before music, I suppose. The only one who could properly handle a modern Magecraft weapon like that is Koyanskaya herself.
Wait, what? The hatch is open! But why is the hatch open? Gordoff, quick, check the internal surveillance cameras. I think someone opened the border's hatch and got outside.
There's someone on the starboard ramp.
What? That can't be right! You expect me to believe someone's hanging off the side like this is some kind of action movie? Wait, that's Cadox and Lupus! Just how many adventure-crazed nuts are there around here?
I thought there was something on us. The signal's headed towards the deck now.
So he's trying to take advantage of the confusion to escape, eh? Come on, John! We're taking that hatch and going up there too! Do not let Kadok get away! I have a mountain of questions I still need to ask him! Right.
You, huh? Figures you'd show up. You're looking a little less dazed now. Glad to see you're back to your usual happy-go-lucky nonsense. Looks like you're back up and at 'em too. Yeah. Guess we've both been pushing ourselves to the limit. Takes its toll though, doesn't it? I always felt the pressure before, but it's even worse now that it's gone. Hell, I might as well have had a bag of feathers on my shoulder earlier compared to now. We both knew what we wanted to do, but we didn't really get it.
Enough chit-chat already, Zen Lupus! Get back inside the border now and I'll make sure you're treated fairly under international law. Trust me, you don't want to be stupid and go jumping off a moving vehicle like this. I can tell you from experience that you'll regret it. You'll end up dead and we'll have lost you. Show me that you're willing to help us and I'd be willing to put in a good word for you with the association.
You don't have to threaten me. I thought there might be a lifeboat or something out here, but there's nothing. Getting out of here was a huge pain in the ass. It looks like it was all for nothing. Once I might have jumped off just to spite you. But now I've got a promise to keep. I can't go throwing my life away. You want to interrogate me, right? Fine. I'll tell you everything you want to know. That's a small price to pay for survival. At this point, I don't care what it takes to stay alive.
Excellent. This makes my little insurance trip out here well worth it. Turn around, you idiot! Kadok!
Ooh.
Rasputin. You son of a... Why, if it isn't Gordoff music. How nice to see you again. You too, Master of Chaldea. Allow me to offer my congratulations on successfully taking down Russia. Let go of him right now! I'm afraid I can't do that. I have my own concerns. You understand, of course. My job was to oversee Kadok Zemlupus' role as a cryptor, and that role has come to an end. So I thought I would give him as merciful a send-off as possible. As if Da Vinci wasn't enough, now he's gone and stabbed Kadok in the back too. As a gentleman, I'm honor-bound to stop him. My golf punch will never work on him. Damn it, where's Holmes when you need him? I thought he was always supposed to be 2 steps ahead. Not to worry, Director Gordoff. Eliminating all of you isn't in my job description. Russia is currently my sole jurisdiction, you see. As such, I need to handle this before you left the area entirely. I hope you can forgive the necessity of my resorting to such drastic measures, unbefitting of my age though they are. I'm afraid I lack Koyan Sky's ability to move between Lost Belts. I'm limited to getting around the same way you do. As a middle manager of sorts, I'm not able to go to the next Lost Belt without the Foreign God's permission. Foreign God? Intriguing. Would you be so good as to tell us more, Metropolitan Macarius?
I'm sorry I'm late, Master. Huh? Kadok!
Now then, I'd best be on my way. I hope you won't mind my saving the answer to your question for our next meeting, Sherlock. Oh, but before I go, I would at least like to put a stop to this false name you've been using for me. My true name is Rasputin. Grigory Rasputin. That said, I confess that the spirit origin doesn't belong to me. I'm simply borrowing it from a dead man.
I deduced all of that long ago, my dear priest. My concerns are more fundamental in nature. Where did you acquire that dead man? In proper human history, Kotomini Akire's body was cremated. So how did you come to take possession of a dead man without a body?
Oh, I'm sure you'll figure that out sooner or later, Sherlock. That is, after all, what you do. You once called the incineration of humanity a mythological murder case. In which case, go ahead and label this attack the same way. Ask yourself who committed this crime and how. Once you have arrived at that answer, we will meet again. When that day comes, I look forward to you accusing the culprit in person.
Father Kotomine, I mean, Rasputin has made off with Kadok. What should we do, Senpai? Maybe if we turn the border around now.
Don't bother. We'll never catch up, and we can't risk going back to Russia. We just have to give up on interrogating Kadok Zemlupus. That was my fault. I should have considered that someone may pursue us. Well, there goes that lead. Damn it. Can't believe I got knocked out again. Sneaking up on people and stabbing them is kind of your thing, huh? I think my heart actually stopped for a while back there. Indeed it did. If it hadn't, do you really think Holmes would have let us escape so easily? No. If he had realized you were still alive, they would have come back to retrieve you. I couldn't let that happen. Not after Kirshtaria asked me to bring you to Olympus. Is that so? Well, it doesn't matter either way. You wasted your time, Rasputin. Oh? Whether Chaldea kills me or Wodan does it, I'll be just as dead. Now that I've failed, I don't belong with either of them. I'm just going to be an example to the other cryptors. What? What is it? If you got something to say, then spit it out, Father. Apologies. I was just thinking how much easier my job would be if Kirshtaria was that sort of person. At any rate, it's clear what's going to happen to you. You may have lost your right to run a Lost Belt, but you still have your Sirius Light. That command spell belongs to our god. As long as you possess it, your life does not belong to you alone. You no longer have the option of throwing your life away, Kadok Zemlupus. Your fate is to have every last bit of your soul squeezed out of you, until the day you die.
been 2 days since Rasputin, the pseudo-servant, attacked. The Chaldeans are currently on their way to the Lost Belt in Scandinavia. Everything is so white. The words blank slate have never seemed so appropriate. It's like the entire surface has been reset. Nothing but pure white wherever you look. Everything is gone. Nature, civilization, even the flora and fauna have completely disappeared. No, not disappeared. It's more like they've all been pruned away. All there is to see in every direction is a pure white plain. Though there are a few topographical exceptions along the way. Looked like the remains of some buildings, but they appear to have been warped by extreme heat, or destroyed in some kind of shockwave. Whatever the cause, upon closer inspection, one could see that these had once been man-made structures of some kind. This led to John and his allies stepping out of the shadow border to investigate further. The atmospheric composition was normal. The air was breathable and the gravity was the same as before. There was no need for a hazard suit, or space suit, or anything of the sort. Good thing you didn't have to get all dressed up like an astronaut, huh? Said Leonardo da Vinci with a cherubic smile. Look, Senpai, you can see them up ahead. Buildings. Looks like even the buildings have been bleached. That explains why we couldn't see them at a distance.
And where are we? The copied city? You there, Adam?
Those are buildings, right? If there are any survivors here, we should bring them back to the border as soon as... She trailed off all of a sudden. Probably because what she saw was beyond anything she could have imagined. No one could blame her. Anyone else would have been agape at the bizarre sight before them. The color had been drained out of everything. Some parts of the buildings even looked as though they had been rubbed away with an eraser. The whole thing looked like some bizarre postmodern art exhibit, and was made all the more baffling by being in the middle of a bleached desert. There were no signs of life anywhere, not even the remains of what had once been alive. It all looked so sterile, especially for ruins. It was the sort of thing you'd only see in dreams. Everyone back on the border seeing it on their monitors must have thought they were looking at footage from an alien planet. Let's go in. There might still be something inside. Earth had changed. It had been completely bleached, a planet now totally devoid of life, with the exception of the Lost Belts. But even when it had been reset to a blank slate, there were still some places, some buildings, some life forms that had survived. Chaldea decided to call these remnants. Today was the first contact they had with these sorts of remnants, these buildings that had been left behind on this newly blank Earth. Despite the new director's pessimistic outlook, the other staff couldn't ignore the possibility, however slight, that there might still be other survivors. But even though they never did find any other people, their investigation wasn't for nothing. Because they did find signs of life, signs that someone had survived all of this, and had been there before them. Here, near the Scandinavian Lost Belt, in what used to be Helsinki, the capital of Finland. Were signs in these buildings that someone, somewhere, was still alive. Signs that someone had been living here for days, weeks, maybe even months. Empty bottles, piles of canned food, the remains of a communication device that someone had clearly spent a great deal of effort trying to repair. There was even something that looked like a doll lying on the floor, a sign that a young child had been among the survivors. And above all, they found something that had clearly been left behind with intent. According to this journal, it looks like somebody was here as recently as 2 days ago. The last entry is dated the day before yesterday. It looks like there were 6 survivors at first, but over their time their numbers gradually dwindled until... In the end, whoever wrote this journal must have been the last one to disappear. Where could they all have gone? Unfortunately, though whoever wrote the journal had excellent penmanship, it was in a language that John could not read. It could have been Finnish, or maybe Swedish. Either way, it may as well have been Greek to John. Why did this happen to our planet? Why do these invaders from another world hate humanity so much? If nothing else, those final questions written on the last pages were clear. Why? 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 That is all these people could ask, even as they were wiped away. Almost as though they were being punished for seeking meaning in their crisis. It's time, Master. Let's head back to the border. We're almost to Sweden now. You should rest up for the coming battles. As they left the remnants behind, one thought haunted each and every one of them. Nowhere was there so much as a trace of blood, a hint of violence. Soon the Shadow Border will enter the second Lost Belt. Will it be a hellish wasteland inhospitable to life? Or perhaps... So that's what those storm walls look like from the outside. Yep, finally about to take the plunge into the Scandinavian Lost Belt. And not because we have no other choice like with Russia. This time we choose to do it ourselves. As you all saw, there's a tree of emptiness here as well. Though at this distance, it looks more like a faint pillar of light than a tree.
Yes, quite so. We may not know what it's like on the inside, but we do know exactly what we need to do. This is a Lost Belt, a place carved out of history from our own world, different from our own. There is no telling what horrors may await us there. But once we cut down that tree of emptiness thingamabob, the Lost Belt will return to its original state, and the storm wall will disappear.
Yep, but I think we should put this particular tree of emptiness investigation off until later. Our priority is to slip through Scandinavia and get to the Wandering Sea. Depending on what it's like in there, we might just be able to ignore the Lost Belt. If we're going to invade this place, we should do so after we've improved our offensive options at the Wandering Sea. It won't do for John and Mash to be the only two ever risking their necks on the front lines.
I just hope that transmission really was from the Wandering Sea. So what now? I thought these storm walls were impenetrable.
That we can penetrate using the Shadow Border's primary function. That storm is approximately 2 kilometers wide, so we will cross it via a zero sail.
You mean we're going to dive back into the void space? Come now, surely I'm not the only one who was wildly uncomfortable seeing his soul leave his body, was I? I mean, is it just me, or was looking down at your own body in third person a truly unsettling experience?
You're just going to have to deal, Gordoff.
You're kidding me! You mean you're completely fine with it? Doesn't it bother you having a bird's eye view of your own life?
Oh, of course it makes us all feel sick. But you're the commander now, yeah? So frickin' suck it up, would you? Honestly, I've gotten used to it. I mean, a short hop through void space is nothing compared to a ray shift. Not that I've ever ray shifted myself, of course.
Now don't you start talking back to me, Meniere. Ray shift, schmay shift. Clearly the Zero Sail program that began under my new administration is a far more impressive achievement. Holmes, Da Vinci, prepare the Shadow Border for a takeoff.
Indeed, Gordoff. I, for one, am truly inspired after your little speech. And well done on your part, Mr. Meniere. That'll be one less thing to worry about during our dive. Okay, places everyone. Time to strap in for today's out-of-body experience. The good news is we're not going to dive as deeply as we did last time. We're just going to skim under the surface, so to speak, so that we stick to reality space-time as quickly and distance as closely as possible. We have to do it like that, or since we don't have anything tying us to Scandinavia, it'll be like a split-second dive into a two-dimensional plane. Think of it like going scuba diving without an oxygen tank. We just need to hold our breath for a little bit while we make our way through the wall. All set, John? You do know we'll be setting foot in another brand new world soon, right?
Let's go where no man has gone before. Again.
Got it. Okay then, let's go see what's on the other side of this wall. Expanding Void Reality Observation Device, Paper Moon. Destination: Southern Sweden, near Norrköping. Norrköping.
Probably said that very wrong.
Expanding logic formula on Shadow Border's external armor. Removing existence verification for reality space. Future prediction: hypothetically prove mirror world plane in 20 seconds. Relaxing space-time friction decompression for 0.4 seconds. All systems are green. Void space may be a calm sea, but as always, don't forget to watch out for big waves. Shadow Border untethered from reality. Void space dive, zero sail, unfurl.
Alright, that's the prologue. Now, we do have Section 1 here, but I think Section 1 is mostly story, so I think I'm just gonna end the episode off here, and we'll do Section 1 the next one, because I don't want to have another, like, almost 2-hour first episode to one of these Lost Belts like I did in Lost Belt 1. So, I'll leave it for that, and I'll see you guys then. Bye!